All right, here are solutions for perfect problem 3 for math. What is this, 213? So this problem, I came across this picture and was intrigued by it and was like, hey, I'll make a perfect problem out of it. So the basic idea is it's a whole bunch of conversions from terms that I had never heard of. I mean, I've heard of an inch and a foot, sure, but TWIP and Ramsden chain, yeah, never heard of those. Anyways, apparently they're all units of measurement in our stupid imperial system. Um, and I guess there's even some reference to the metric system over here. Anyways, you're asked to do some conversions. So I don't know why this is numbered 1 because there's only one problem on here. But anyways, how many links in a mile is what you are asked to figure out. Links? The hell is a link? Oh, here we go. Here's a link right here. So the way to read this chart is higher up means smaller. So like an inch is smaller than a foot. You need 12 of these inches to make one of these feet. Similarly, 25 of these links make one of these things. You can call it a rod or a pole or a perch, apparently. News to me. And then 4 of those things make one of these things, these Gunter chains. All right. And 10 of those make a furlong, and 8 furlongs make a mile. With all that information, I can figure out how many links there are in a mile. And you could just do it with a whole bunch of multiplication, but I'm going to set this up in a way that'll be useful for problems that are a little bit more challenging than this first one here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with 1 mile. I'm going to keep track of all my units here. And I'm going to write it as a fraction, so I'm going to write 1 mile over 1. Then the idea is when you have a fraction, if you multiply it by something that's equal to 1, you don't change the value of the fraction. So I'm not trying to change the value of 1 mile. I want the value to be the same. I just want to express it with a different unit, namely links. So I'm just going to multiply this thing by 1 a whole bunch of times. And so, for example, if I go down here, I know that there are 8 furlongs in 1 mile. Furlongs are smaller than miles. So 8 furlongs is the same as 1 mile. So if I write 8 furlongs divided by 1 mile, what I've really just written is something that's equal to 1. When the top and the bottom are the same on a fraction, you're just multiplying by 1. But the advantage to writing it the way that I wrote it here is now these units kind of cancel out. That's the easiest way to think about it. That this mile here will cancel with this mile here, and my new unit will be furlongs. But I want my answer to be furlongs. I want it to be links. So what I gotta do is change furlongs. Furlongs, 10 of these Gunter chains is 1 furlong. So I can say 10 of these Gunter chain things is 1 furlong. And a rod, I guess 4 of these rods is 1 Gunter change. And note that each of these things that I'm writing is equal to 1. This fraction is equal to 1. This is equal to 1. These Gunter chains will cancel out. I'm getting rid of my units as I go. And I'm not changing the value because I'm just multiplying by 1. And then finally, I can get from here 25 links is one of those things. So I could write 25 links divided by 1 rod. That's equal to 1. And if I do that multiplication, well, let's see what happens. Kind of miles here cancel. Furlongs here cancel. Gunter chains here cancel. Rods here cancel. And so my unit, what I'm left with, is going to be in inches, which is a good thing. No, links is what that says. It kind of looks like inches with my bad handwriting. But I'm supposed to say links. And so all I got to do is figure out what this thing's equal to. Well, I just have a bunch of 1s in the denominator, so those are easy to multiply. 1 times 8 times 10 times 4 times 25. Well, 4 times 25 is 100, and 8 times 10 is 80. 80 times 100 is 8,000. So the answer is that 1 mile is equal to 8,000 links. We can do something similar to figure out how many square shekels are there in 4 square spindles. So if I have 4 square spindles, I might write that differently. Maybe I'll write that, well, let's do it down here. Let's do it over here. 4 spindles squared. You can think about that as a square that's 2 spindles by 2 spindles. So this area is 4 spindles squared. And so what I'm going to try to do is figure out, okay, how many shekels would each side of this square be? And then I can figure out how many square shekels I have. So really it's 2 spindles that I'm going to be doing my conversions on. So I'll take 2 spindles here. And then I'll go, let's see, here's spindles. And I'm trying to turn these into shekels way over here. Ugh, that'll be annoying. All right, go to these things, these things, these things. see, where am I trying to eventually get here? This shackle thing, which I guess I can get to fathoms. Where do I go from here? Well, you got some options. You go down this way and up around this way, or you go this way and up this way. That's probably easier. All right, so I'm gonna go from fathoms. I don't want to use Gunter chains. Those are weird. I'm gonna go from fathoms to yards, and then from yards to cubits, and then over to spans, and then I'll be able to work my way down here for spindles. So 2 spindles divided by 1 times. My goal is to get this into shekels. So I know that 120 of these skein things is the same as 1 spindle, apparently. And 96 of these L things is the same as 1 of these skein things. You're like, why did you start with 2? I started with 2, even though the problem said 4 spindles squared, because these conversions don't work for square spindles, they just work for spindles. So I had to think about, okay, 4 spindles squared is a square where the sides are 2 spindles. And now my units are something I can use this picture with. It was a little bit subtle, so I figured it was worth talking about again. Anyways, I'm to L's now, and I want to get to spans. There's 5 spans in an L, apparently. And then I want to get to cubits. I see there's 2 spans in 1 cubit. So be careful here. I'll write 1 cubit up on the top, and I'll write 2 spans down on the bottom. And the way I wrote it the reason I wrote it that way is because I want to cancel out my units of spans, and 1 cubit is the same as 2 spans. And that's what this graph is saying. And what do I have? 2 yards is the same as 1 cubit. No, that's not true. 2 cubits is the same as 1 yard. That's right. Bigger, higher up on this thing is smaller. So 2 of these cubits is 1 of these yards. So I'll write 1 yard over 2 cubits. And I'm almost there. I can then go to fathoms. And yards are smaller than fathoms because they're higher up. So 2 yards is the same as 1 fathom. In other words, 1 fathom is the same as 2 yards. And then finally, I can change from fathoms to shekels. Apparently there are 15 fathoms in a shekel. Do that. Now let's cancel some stuff out. Oh, nice. My spindles canceled. My whatever SK stood for canceled. My L canceled. My span, my cubits, my yards, my fathoms. I'm left with shekels. That's a good thing. Okay, so now I just have to multiply this whole thing across to figure out what my answer is. Let's see, I started out with 2 spindles. And 2 times 120 times 96 times 5 divided by, and then the bottom I got a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 15. So that's, oh, okay, so 2 times 15 is 30, times 2 is 60, times 2 is 120, which is awfully convenient. That takes this 120 and cancels it out with this 120. So all I got to do is figure out what's 2 times 5 times 96. That's pretty easy because 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times 96 is 960. So what I figured out is that 2 spindles, my original unit, is 960 shekels, apparently. And we're done? No, because that's not what the question asked. It asked you for square spindles is how many square shekels. Well, the way I thought about it, 4 square spindles was a square that was 2 spindles by 2 spindles. But if this length is 2 spindles, and I know that 2 spindles is the same as 960 shekels, then really this length right here is 960 shekels. So to figure out the area, I take 960 and multiply by 960, which I cannot do in my head. But that's what calculators are for. Type that in, you get that number, 921,600. I guess that would be the answer in the end of this video.